everybody. Welcome to another episode of Nerds Drink Whiskey. As always, I'm your host, Mark, and we have the return of the smartest man in the room, Mr. Jeff Morris. Jeff, how's it been going?
Going well. I'm glad to be back. I'm really sorry I missed Proof. It looked like a really good time. But hopefully from here on out I can stick around and drink some good whiskey.
Cool. Now this is a little bit of a pre-funk to a special episode we're doing next week. This is at a local bar, actually just across the street from where I live, called Pints and Quarts in Lacey, Washington, just down the street from our good friends at Cigar Daddies. So they're going to have a distiller down here next week, so I figured we needed one episode, so I figured let's invade, order a drink, and just order a shot, and we'll drink it, and we'll let you guys know what we think. This is Macallan Rare Cask single malt Scotch whiskey. So it's a 25 year, did you say?
No, I didn't say.
Okay, I didn't say, yeah. So, but anyways, they're like $50 shots, so hopefully it's worth $50. But anyways, we're going to, first I think we need to get on the nerdy side of things and talk about Rogue One. Now, you were saying some pretty interesting things about Rogue One, some things you're hoping for. Before I give my opinion on Rogue One, the previews and the trailers, why don't you give a little bit of what your hopes and dreams are for it?
Well, so Rogue Squadron has been part of Star Wars since the beginning. There were Rogue Squadron members in the Battle of Yavin when they destroyed the first Death Star in the first movie. So Rogue has been there since the beginning. So what I would really like to see, and I have no idea if this is going to happen, is the end of Rogue One is when they destroy the Death Star. Because that would kind of bring everything full circle. They're there supporting Luke and Han, keeping the TIE fighters off their backs. And that would just kind of tie it all into the Star Wars universe. Whether or not they'll do that, anyone's guess. But that'd be kind of nice.
Okay. Now the biggest complaint that I think a lot of people had with The Force Awakens was it was pretty much New Hope redone in a lot of ways, and that was because they didn't want to. I think because of the prequels and all the hatred of the prequels, Disney was kind of afraid of ticking people off, so they kind of wanted to add that air of familiarity to it. So, right, as a palate cleanser. But I know that my wife, the usual camera person, she still refuses to watch Force Awakens because she doesn't want to say goodbye to Han. The ladies love Han. So, but even she's excited about Rogue One. And I got to say, from what I've seen, and I forced you to watch the one trailer right before we left. He's been trying to stay away from even the trailers. And, from the trailers I've seen, from the articles I've read, interviews I've seen, I got to say, I'm way more excited about Rogue One than I was about Force Awakens, despite all the jokes that I made about, okay, as long as the next Star Wars movie isn't about the Death Star. But despite all those jokes, I think I'm going to have to eat my words a little bit because this looks a little bit better. Are you as excited as Force Awakens, or are you more excited?
So, I guess I'm hedging my bets. I was excited about Force Awakens, and while it did hit a lot of the right buttons that Star Wars is supposed to hit, there were definitely places that it fell short. And so I'll probably go see it. I don't think I've had the opportunity to go see a Star Wars movie in theaters and not gone and seen it. But again, I'm hedging my bets. I'm going to go in on an open mind and no preconceptions as to what a Star Wars movie should be, and what, let this break out of the mold maybe a little bit. And so I've got hopes for it, but like I said, I'm reserving judgment until air date.
Yeah. I like to stick my foot in my mouth and say stuff I shouldn't and predict things that I shouldn't. So I'm predicting Rogue One is going to be better liked by fans, but here's my real prediction. I'm going to predict Rogue One makes less money than Force Awakens, even though it's more liked by fans. So that's my prediction. It's
probably, yeah, I agree. it doesn't have the Star Wars name as much on it, so you're not going to get automatic crowds like you would for Force Awakens did. You're only going to get people that actually want to go see it as its own entity.
Right. And like you were saying, it's going to be, it's pretty nerdy, being that it's doing a whole movie on, basically that one scene in New Hope where they were sitting there saying, 1 million Guggins died for this information, and so from that one meeting in that one room, they've done a whole 2-hour movie, and so that's drilling it in pretty hard. So I think that's going to make the fans really love it, but I think the mainstream America is just kind of going to go,
Trying really hard to not to correct your Star Wars. So this,
my wife corrects my Star Wars all the time, so
yeah. So this should be so at the beginning of New Hope, Leia's putting the plans in R2. These are those plans. So the plans that she's getting down to Obi-Wan, these are the plans. They're getting the plans for the Death Star that she's puts in R2, and so that's where the end of this. We know they succeed. We know they get the Death Star plans to the Rebel Alliance, because that's the very first scene. They're fleeing Darth Vader. He's chasing these plans. So we know that Darth Vader, at the end of this movie, is now on his quest to stop the plans from falling into Rebel hands.
So then this is a true prequel. This is right before New Hope then.
Yeah. This is, literally ends where New Hope picks up.
Okay. All right. So are you ready to try some whiskey?
Yeah, I've been smelling it, and I'm ready to taste it. So yeah.
It's, definitely has a very strong odor. What's wrong with my mouth here? And we took a picture of the bottle beforehand. So, but this is the Macallan Rare Cask Halen Single Malt Scotch Whiskey. That's all the information we have right now. We'll probably put more information at the bottom of the screen here as we taste it. And I don't know here. For a $50 shot, I got to say I'm actually kind of unimpressed.
I like it, but yeah, I mean, if it was a $50 bottle, sure. But for a single shot, although this is probably the most expensive shot I've ever purchased myself. And it's still whiskey.
It's still whiskey. I got to say the finish is what really ruins it for me. And to me, I'm almost getting to the point where the finish of a whiskey is what really makes or breaks the whiskey. And this just doesn't seem to have... I mean, it's sweet when you first taste it.
It reminds me of the what was it? The one that Tracy brought us. The 25-year...
Pulteney.
Yeah, Old Pulteney. Yes, this one reminds me of Old Pulteney.
Huh.
That's the one that I think of when...
All of Old Pulteney.
Okay. But yeah, I mean, it's flavorful. It's full-bodied. It's flavorful. It does have a little bit of a, I guess you could say, we call it the cheap finish, where it's kind of like turpentine-y in the back. Mm-hmm. But I've gotten to the point where that doesn't really bother me. I mean, sure, it's an indicator of maybe not the most high-class whiskey, but I drink plenty of stuff that's not expensive and not high-class, and I'm fine with it.
It's got a great mouthfeel, great initial taste, but yeah, that finish is like a cheap whiskey. It's like I've been drinking a lot of last week's whiskey, which is the dual barrel from Heritage, and that's got a much better finish than this does. And I don't know, maybe the Heritage Distillery people can correct me on this, but I don't think it's been aged near as long as this has. But it's got a better finish. And I mean, I think even Rebel Yell, which is a $10 whiskey, has a better finish than this does. And by the way, there's my wife found a Rebel Yell that's, I think she said it's a 10-year, I can't remember, we'll put it on the screen what it actually is, but I think it's like a 10-year Rebel Yell. So we're going to be definitely trying that in the next few weeks. And but yeah, $10 Rebel Yell has has a better finish, I think, than this does. So, and that's, I think, the point of our show is you could spend a fortune on whiskey and still get crap. You could spend just a small amount of money and still get gold. You know, the price is just a number, and it's sometimes if you're not paying for rent, if you're not paying your rent in the bottle, in the barrel, and paying for age, the age of a whiskey, that money really is just a number. It's just something people pull out of their butt. So I'd be real curious to find out how long this has been aged for.
Yeah, I'm curious as to the age. It does have a lot of cask flavor to it, I guess you would say. Mm-hmm. Like there's very oaky and smoky and that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's like when I took a smaller swallow, the finish was worse. When you have a large swallow, the finish isn't as bad.
But I mean, come on, that's pretty much every whiskey.
Yeah. I guess
maybe that's why at all those tasting events, maybe that's why the Liquor Control Board forces them to give you such a small taste.
Yeah, so you have to go, oh no, this isn't very good, and don't buy it. Is that what you're saying?
Well, no. If you get a small taste, the finish isn't going to have near as much of that kick, of that burn, because it's a smaller taste. You know, so when the Liquor Control Board, which makes money off of liquor sales and all that, and so they kind of want liquor sales to happen just legally, but I don't know. It just those smaller tastes. A lot of times I've had a smaller taste at a tasting event, but then I bring it home and I buy a full bottle and I go, the finish on this isn't as good as I remember. And I think it's because, you know, you get that fuller mouthfeel, you get that fuller shot, that fuller swallow, and then you get the full feel of the finish. And if a whiskey doesn't finish well, I'm not a fan.
Yeah, no, I hear you there. One thing I've noticed as I've been drinking it is it's got a lot of, I guess call it ash. Kind of, it's like burnt flavor to it. It's kind of, yeah, like chewing on a charcoal stick. You getting any of that? It's
no.
like charcoal-y.
No.
I don't know if maybe I'm describing it wrong, but
I am highly impressed with the taste and the mouthfeel. It's just the finish on this that I don't like. So I don't know. I'm gonna say not recommend. What are you saying?
not for $50.
Hell no. For the price? No. I know much cheaper whiskeys. I know much cheaper whiskeys that finish much better. So for the Macallan, we're gonna say, no, not worth the money. So we wasted money, so you didn't have to.
Yeah. I am curious what a bottle costs when you're not at a,
I think we have that down on the credits.
Yeah, no, you all know how much it costs. So.
Right. As you're watching, you know we don't. But yeah, not impressed. But anyways, see you back next week. We're going to be at Pints and Quarts again. So if you're in the Thurston County area, come on down. I think you said, it starts at 5?
I think it was 6 o'clock. It's not on their events page, which threw us for a bit. So yeah, at 6 o'clock, it's someone who they offer whiskey flights. They're like $10 to $15, and you get 3 or 4 shots. So.
Cool. So we're definitely going to be down here. So if you want to meet us, come on down, tap us on the shoulder, be part of the podcast. And we may be carrying around some shot glasses in our pocket for the Nerds Drink Whiskey podcast. So if you want a free shot glass, come on down to Pints and Quarts, and we'll see you next week. See ya.